Welcome to A2NewTech. I appreciate you all coming out this evening. We do this once a month, third Tuesday of every month, and the reason this meetup got started, 3, 4, it's probably actually even more, 5 years ago, was that there was a recognition that there was a lot of interesting activity going on in the entrepreneurial startup community in Arbor, but not a lot of places to get together in the same physical space and meet each other. And so this meetup has continued and grown. It's over 4,000 members. And one of the things about it that everyone always says, like, they love the format. It's 5 minutes, a 5-minute pitch, 5-minute Q&A. But more importantly, it's about everybody who's here, that you hopefully make at least one new genuine connection tonight, whether it's for a job or you find somebody that you want to hire or just like something that sparked an idea. That's what it's all about. So the agenda we have 5 companies pitching tonight, and they'll each, we'll do 3 of those, and then we'll do a little intermission / opportunity for everybody to, who wants to make a community announcement, to come down in front and make that announcement. It can be anything from you're looking for help with something, you have a meetup of your own that you're getting started, you're recruiting, you're looking for a job, all fair. But that's a good way just to come down here and say whatever it is on your mind. And then we'll wrap up with 2 final presentations. And we got some time afterwards sort of to hang out and mingle. And then most of the crew wants to hang out a little later. We go over to Pizza House, just a couple blocks away. Let's see. Thanks to A2 Geeks. A2 Geeks is a nonprofit that helps make events like this, Coffee House Coders, and other events possible in Ann Arbor. Roger Rail from R2 Vibe for doing both the recording and live streaming. Anyone that's watched a previous video, Roger's the one to thank. And our space here, the Entrepreneurship Clinic at U of M Law School, for providing us with this space for the entire year. It'll be here also next month, December 15th, will be our final event of the year. If you know anyone that might be a good candidate for presenting that after you see tonight, email organizers at a2newtech.org, and I'll be the one coordinating with them to get them slotted in sometime in the next couple months. So mute your phones if they're not, and if you're going to tweet, use A2NewTech hashtag. And first up, I'm pleased to welcome to the stage for a second time Kathleen from PopPost, who's going to give us an update on her venture called PopPost.
So good evening, everybody. My name is Kathleen Hiraga. I'm the founder and CEO of PopPost, an entertainment web destination for, by, and about smart girls. And I did present over the summer. There's been some significant progress, so this is more of an update, so I'll keep it moving fast. Girls in business today in terms of entertainment, the female entertainment consumer has never been more powerful or more profitable than in 2015. Young U.S. females online, 9 hours per day, approximately 42 hours per week, and about 80% of that is entertainment related. They're generating upwards of $60 billion in product purchases, and that's just the U.S. alone. And one of the interesting breakouts is that female gamers are actually outnumbering male gamers. It's growing by 70% year over year. So it's an interesting piece of information when you go into the global market. Females aged 7 to 17 globally, 1.6 billion. 58% of them are online, and the global entertainment market is about a $2 trillion entertainment space. So our cable versus web, I don't think anybody has to, I don't think I have to tell anybody that we're now watching all of our product and consuming all of our entertainment online. 76% of kids are watching it on mobile, and U.S. households are subscribing to video streaming at 52%. So in terms of the destination, the quality of destinations, we're still playing catch-up here. Entertainment web destinations for young females are really sparse. We have a lot of celebrity and makeup YouTube videos. We don't have a lot of content that really addresses stories about diversity, smart girl diversity, not just race diversity. And Disney domination continues. So one of the things that we really started looking at is how do we grow a culture around products that are out there that speak to the smart girl. So I took a look at a company called Penny Arcade. I've been a fan of theirs. They really kill it in terms of the male demographic. Who is Penny Arcade? They're a comic, they're a media company, but they're also a really fierce, independent grassroots movement with loyal fans. They're a webcomic, they're an online destination, and they're also a very robust consumer trade show with 600,000 attendees per year. So what is Pop Post? We're going to become the Penny Arcade for females. So how are we going to do that? Well, we just lined up the strategic partnership with Penny Arcade. This is a recent development, and we're really excited about it. What they bring to Pop Post is speed to market. The PA endorsement really gives us credibility. It gives us immediate audience eyeballs. Operationally, they're an incredibly unique company, 25 staffers generating between 50 and 75 million in revenue per year. They've been approached by every multimedia company, entertainment company, and they refuse to sell. And mostly because they really have this very, very loyal and very authentic fan following. So what we are doing is we've created a revenue model where they're opening up their playbook, all of their sponsors that participate in PACs, and we're going out together and selling a campaign sponsorship model. We're going to be attending E3, the 4 PACs per year, Comic-Cons, and we plan to generate a milestone revenue of between $750,000 and $900,000 in year 1. So a little bit about me. I come from MTV Networks. That was my first job as employee number 30. I was one of their first graphic designers, and we really created a culture more than anything. We had all this aggregate product, but we created a culture around it, and that's what Pop Post is going to be doing. The team, very robust in terms of entertainment. Robert Koo, who's the COO at Penny Arcade, is very involved as an advisor, and we basically span across different platforms in terms of marketing. Ashley Cuskey's coming from Smart Girls, which is Amy Poehler's female site. I created a product called Samurai Bike Messengers, really as a calling card to create our team and to really act as an audience platform to create traction. We have 33,000 Facebook likes in under 8 months. And it also gave me an ability to really have an authentic story around a female character that was not a superhero and that was also very global. Our first phase rolling out webcomic content, just like Penny Arcade, we have 6 female webcomic creators. They come with a minimum of 200,000 Facebook likes. So we're really going to pull their audience over to Pop Post. We're not going to be a content creator so much as we're going to be a publisher. Consumer show content, we're going to expand into it. I'm going to skip there. And then our exit partner, Penny Arcade, or possibly Blizzard or one of the larger game companies. We're raising a capital round right now, $400,000 minimum, $500 maximum closing, and we're going to be relaunching the website in Q1. One thing. We're also hiring, so if anybody is interested in this company, come see me afterwards.
So we'll start out with questions for 5 minutes. Who are you hiring for? I'll ask that. It's like an interesting company. Like it's programmers, designers.
We're really building the platform. So this is a fairly new development. I was going to have the headquarters in Los Angeles, where I've lived for almost 15 years. But with the Penny Arcade piece, now they don't care where we are, and they're in Seattle. So we're going to keep the headquarters here, and I'm very actively involved in hiring within this community if I can. So a full stack web developer, a really great UX UI designer we're looking for, those 2 positions. And then, anybody who's really passionate about this space, come see me, because we're just building out our team, and we've used a lot of really great people in Ann Arbor so far.
Who else has some questions? Good.
I don't have a question. It just kind of slipped by without much fanfare. But congratulations on your partnership.
Thank you.
I want to give you a round of applause.
They're a really hard company to crack, but the one thing that they saw is that they have a 97% male demographic, but they believe in our mission, and so we really are the flip female side of Penny Arcade. And I really think that chemistry, you can't buy chemistry when you approach a company, and the chemistry is really good with them. So we're very excited. Thank you.
Did they try to do this internally? Like, were they? I mean, I gotta imagine there were some efforts to this. Sort of, were they like, oh, why don't you?
No,
help us with this?
They've been in sort of a quandary because 20% of their audience that walks into PAX are female, and yet they would cannibalize their 97% online that are male if they started diluting it into the female category. So we really see this as, they see it as a really great play because it's a new revenue stream for them in terms of the female demographic without damaging their male demographic. Yeah.
Any other questions someone has? No.
You said that 97% of Penny Arcade's traffic is from males online, so how do you attempt to get more of a female draw to your site?
Well, one of the things I really feel strongly about is having a really collaborative team of artists and creators who are female, or not necessarily all female. There are some males, but they have female content. So, for instance, Sarah Scribbles is going to be our first webcomic artist. She comes with over 600 Facebook fans on her website. And so we're going to be pulling a lot of the artists. Their audience traffic is very calibrated to the female audience, so that way we don't rely heavily on Penny Arcade. However, Penny Arcade, again, has credibility, and I think that just because you're male doesn't mean that you only look at male product. I mean, I think that there's a lot of crossover, but Penny Arcade gives us, I think, credibility, and they also open up industry doors.
Question in the front.
So is it just the website right now, or are you planning on going like PlayStation Network and then Xbox?
No, we're not going to be doing any actual console gaming as far as building that out. We have built a mobile game, but we're going to concentrate fully on our web platform and then pushing that out into a potential consumer sidebar show with PAX so that we would have a female consumer show that's dedicated just to that content.
Another question?
How do you maintain an awareness of what's going to attract the female?
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, I hired recently a community manager who's Olive, 23 years old, and she works for Frederator and Cartoon Hangover. I think one of the things that is really important is to constantly bring in staff that have, their finger on the pulse of what's cool. I mean, I can only bring so much of that awareness. I think it's really about our team bringing awareness inside.
I think a place you might look for content if you're not already is on Reddit. There's a subreddit called TrollX Chromosomes, which, are you familiar with that one?
Mm-mm.
So that's primarily content made by basically kind of like funny feminists, but really good content in there. Maybe you can figure out who the people are.
Cool.
There's some that are just pumping out a lot more than others.
Yeah.
A lot more than one.
Great, I'll take a look at that. Thanks.
Are you going to start like podcasts and sort of ongoing show series, kind of like Penny Arcade?
Yeah, how many people even know who Penny Arcade is? I mean, I bet there are a bunch. The one thing that they've really done successfully is they've really given their fans a peering into their culture, and it feels really authentic. So we'll be doing the same thing. We want to do Google Chats. We want to do actual interviews with all of the artists. And the strip search piece, I think we'll probably do something similar to the strip search. Okay. Anybody else?
All right,
Okay.
Kathleen, thanks so much. All right, so next up we got Jon from SelectPower, who and he actually brought his entourage along up here for good karma on this demo and presentation today. Let's make sure you got that all right. I'll get your time.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Oops, Siri's interrupting me. Sorry.
All right. You good?
Yes, hi, I'm good.
Take it away.
All right, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Jon Rayos. I'm the founder, CEO of SelectPower. SelectPower is our platform helps energy distributors cost effectively acquire, validate, and secure customer transactions for all utility products. That includes electric, gas, and alternative energy. SelectPower is utility simplified. So it's pretty straightforward for our tagline. And so let me just walk you through some of our reasoning for our model. It's really the pain points that came about to help us out. Everyone needs utilities. It's probably everyone in this room lives and breathes and needs electric, gas, and other utilities. U.S. Census says 14 million households move annually, and that's occurred for the past 10 years. 12 million full-time students move in and out of campus housing, and that's off-campus housing, not dormitories. First thing that you do when you move, you set up utilities. Top of the list. One of the highest variable costs for all companies is utility costs. Large international companies like Ford, General Motors, they change and shop utilities on a monthly basis. In some instances, they do it on a weekly basis. Everyone's been here as a customer. Customer service calls are really ineffective and costly in today's digital world. On average, utility companies spend anywhere from $5 to $6 per transaction on a customer service call. It's very expensive for utility companies. Let me just share some similarities and synergies of our platform within other websites, travel, insurance, real estate, and auto websites. You've seen Kayak, eSurance, Zillow in the real estate place, and Auto Trader for cars. We all aggregate customer data. We all validate. We all secure transactions and promotions. Why SelectPower? What's our value prop? We're simplifying utilities for one, convenient choices. We're integrating our data with our partners, and we're creating a very seamless billing platform. Our market size is big. It's $1 trillion industry just in the U.S. $500 billion in the territories that we're targeting. So it applies to just about everybody, unless they're off the grid. We have scalability. Just in the U.S. alone, there's 148 million customers. 17 million of that is commercial. And the market is emerging in a deregulatory state. In the international countries, they're actually ahead of us when it comes to deregulation. We don't have time for a demo, so I'm just going to walk through with some of the basic screenshots of our MVP. Just from a basic standpoint, the signing in as a customer and a partner, or registering as a new user. Zip code search to see what's available out there from market resellers and products. Compare to product offerings, which leads to comparisons in budgeting and billing. This is really our differentiator from our competitors. Talking about competition. We haven't created this space. Competition's out there. We've been following them. They've left off some gaps. In this Venn diagram, it really shows. I'll share with you the 3 areas that we're really going to differentiate ourselves. We're going to create an automated price quote system. We're going to do a benchmark billing platform, and as well as implementing the data integration with our partners. Marketing acquisition. On top of traditional marketing and digital marketing with a go-to-market approach, we're going to leverage our suppliers, providers, and partners. And we're going to target key partners. Companies like Quicken Loans, First Title, Real Estate One, Trulia, Zillow, commercial companies. We want to partner up with these companies because there's a lot of synergies that can help us get to the market quickly. By 2018, we can project generate over $7 million in revenues based on our pricing model. We bootstrapped this far, and we need help in raising capital for a go-to-market. And so, Bob, you want to pass the hat? We need help. We're ready to go to market. We're asking for 1.5 for strategic limited launch. And my team is Keith, my CTO, Darren, my CFO, Bob, marketing, Mark, who's not here, our Chief Experience Officer, and myself, Jon Rayos. We're SelectPower. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, fire up questions for John. You don't got to go away yet.
Oh.
Who wants to start? I want to know where you guys came from. Like, what's the background, or what? How did you identify
Yeah,
this
sure.
problem?
Actually, I work for DTE,
Okay.
and I'm also a consultant for Georgia Power and Southern companies. I work with Keith, my CTO, and Mark, my Chief Experience Officer. We all worked at DTE Energy. Mark and Keith are still doing some consulting for DTE Energy. So that's how we kind of derived the gaps. So we saw it happening.
So why did you decide to do this on your own versus try to make it happen with him?
We're agile.
DTE?
It's not happening internally. So
yeah, it's just flickering a little bit.
oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, so we identified a lot of the gaps from the customer service side, from the IT side. I think Keith can probably share some of his stories as well. But yeah, I've seen it across the board. Alabama Power, and I'm doing some consulting with Alabama Power right now, and they've got the same pain points for their customers. Customer service is very expensive. They're spending anywhere from $6 to $8 million just on customer service alone at DTE Energy, so very expensive.
Yeah.
Question?
Yeah, so what I'm getting over this is that you're looking to create a cap over energy and utility companies to, I guess, automate their, customer service processes so that...
Yeah, we want to create a drama-free customer service experience for customers.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
Third-partying it, so customer service is not part of their portfolio that they have to worry about.
Yeah, a lot of the energy distributors are actually starting to get away from that model. So they're actually outsourcing a lot of that servicing. Call centers are becoming outsourced. They're really slow as far as implementing technology. So our competitors, they're not filling that gap. They're out there. They're doing some of the experiences that we have, but I think there's some 3 key areas that we can really separate ourselves.
Help me better understand who your customers really are. How many did you interview, and at what level are you interviewing your prospective customers?
It's based on the deregulation state, and there's 16 states that are fully deregulated right now. So of that 16 states, there's 131 residential, 131 million potential customers.
I'm not asking about the market size.
Uh-huh.
I'm asking about your activity in interviewing your prospective customers, whether they be a utilities company or someone like me. How many have you talked to?
Utility companies, 5 or so. Definitely the majors that covers East Michigan. As it relates to resellers,
I've talked to at least 50, and they're all on board.
What do you mean by on board?
They all want to be part of the platform. So if you understand how distribution is, you've got the DTEs who are the energy distributors. You've got the resellers. So you understand the market. So
try to see how you fit in.
we fit in. We're aggregating the resellers. We're filling that gap that the resellers can't fulfill.
Do you have to make a profit? Do you have to sell resellers energy to someone like me?
No.
Okay, help me better understand what your model is.
We process the model. Ours is based on servicing. Yep. Processing and customer.
DTE, you would pay a reseller. You would go through a reseller. You go through our website. And just like you would go for kayak to purchase, an airplane ticket, you don't go right to American Airlines. You go through kayak.
We basically took the model of Square when it comes to processing the customer's bills.
I'm not too familiar with the space, but I have seen some competitors that are kind of like this, or maybe they're not competitors, maybe they're partners, but O-Power being one of them and WaterSmart being another. I mean, I wonder how these compare and contrast, if you've heard of them.
I haven't heard of them. Yeah. Are they water, gas, electric?
Water Smart is water and Power is electricity. I don't know
Yeah.
if they bridge into other utilities.
They could be a reseller. Yeah.
Something-
Resellers are our partners, or one of our aggregated partners. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John.
We'll hang on.
All right, next up, before we do announcements, we have Rajesh from Empower Visiting. Is that right? All right. Rajesh is actually in from out of town. He's based on the West Coast, but works with a number of companies here in Arbor. So he was able to make us work with his trip in this week. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rajesh Sharma, founder and CEO of Empower Visit. Let me first start by congratulating current founders and to-be founders, soon-to-be founders. It's an exciting journey. I've been at it for nearly 3.5 years. So I wish you well, and I hope you guys also wish well for me. It's been a long journey. I'm happy with what's come out of our effort. We build products. We have 3 products that are going to get lined up in Q1 of next year. But during our product development phase, we learned a lot of nuances about developing our products. And we feel that learning can be used for providing rapid solutions to all people. And so our services are designed for, let's say, entrepreneurs, product managers, and program managers. People who are looking for their first-time product or prototype so that they can get in front of their investors, or product managers who are looking to enhance their products, create add-ons, or even build new products. Or even program managers who are working with some program. They are trying to reduce some of the redundant applications or build visibility applications on their data sources. Each of the motivation can be different, but there will be a need for resources. If you have resources at this point in time, great. If you don't have the resources, that's where we come in. We use our experience and we help you in building any kind of workflow applications, whether it's for your internal or external business needs, decision applications like dashboards, reports, and we use only open source technologies for building that. These are all applications that when delivered will be license free. You've paid for the development of those applications. So there's no ongoing license and there's no long-term contract for working with us. We can work on each application basis. So any code that we deliver to you, any application we deliver, those all will be supported even if you have changed the code, and we'll provide documentation and training as well. How does it make us different from other providers who build these applications? We've invested our experience and learning into a rich library that we leverage for building these applications, whether it's a workflow application or decision application. All these ready solutions, this is a partial list. We leverage all these solutions, and instead of building your application from scratch, we are actually configuring those based on your needs. So the overall development cycle shortens. When we leveraged our library to build our products, we experienced about a 30 to 40% reduction in the development time. Fast development automatically brings in savings, and because these libraries are tested, the quality is pretty high because we'll be using that in our production application as well. And all the right kind of hooks are put in for integrating with other applications. So there's a lot of scalability as well. 3 products that are going to come out in the Q1 of next year are a sales system, which we call as the Visual Sales Intelligence and Management System. A candidate pre-screen application. Many times we come across hiring teams who have not actually got a chance to read the resume, detailed resume. And that makes the meeting very unproductive. So we're going to provide some tools for the hiring team so that they can take the profile of the candidate and look at it in a dashboard form and make some quick assessments so that the meeting becomes more productive. And many companies use spreadsheets for doing their business. So we provide a solution by which you can take the spreadsheet and convert that into quick dashboards. These demos, I do have demos on my laptop, but given the time, we won't be able to do any demos. But I'm going to be hanging around in Detroit area for about another 2 days, tomorrow, day after, and sometime on Friday. if anybody feels that our services can be of use to you, I'll be happy to schedule some time. Thank you for your time.
Great. We'll start our questions. Anybody need to? Oh, back there in the blue. Sure.
What's your business model?
We are going to use this as a service model initially until our products get released, and then there is a service component as well as the products when they get released, those will be on a subscription model.
Charging per project or per time?
For the services, for building custom application, it will be charging by the application on a monthly basis, because we plan to work not as a typical consulting company but as an extended product team. So we'll work as an extended product team where we charge you on a monthly basis for a pack of team size.
Tell us about your connection to Ann Arbor and
Pardon?
tell us about your connection to the area here and how
To
you
this
connected,
area.
why you have a number of clients here that you're working with.
I don't have number of clients. I have a few opportunities that got me here. So we started selling our services only about 2-3 months ago, and the kind of pitch we are making is creating interest. So we have at least two good opportunities, which I'm hoping, being in the early stage, I'm more eager to get the paperwork done. But with holidays, there might be some delay. We're talking to these two clients. If the paperwork goes through fine, then the engagement starts January. So that's what brings me to this area.
Okay. How did those couple of opportunities, how did they find you, or how did you find them?
We are a small team. We are, and mostly our team is on product management side and the business side, but not much on the sales side. So we've hired some external sales team. They do the calling and they pitch for us, and then they transfer the appointments to me. So then I take over the sales calls from there.
Interesting. Also more questions on that. Anyone else have any questions? Back there.
Yeah, I'm really curious about using the open source technologies and how talking with different potential clients, how they've responded to that or receiving that.
Open source technology is not new anymore, but there is challenges in open source. So everybody says we can do it in open source, but there are at least 4 challenges that I can think of, beginning with documentation. Support is pretty much the forums that you have over there. And blending those technologies takes time. So what we have done is we've invested that time and blended a number of technologies for building the products that we have now. So today we have that experience of putting the value in front of them, that there are a couple of technology stacks that we've already worked with. But when we provide custom application development services to you, we look into the technology stack you have and try to work according to that stack, rather than push our stack on you. You had a question?
Yeah, can you give us a thumbnail sketch of your product development process? How did the 3 products get developed?
I initially started to develop a CRM system, and my experience trying to build the team was not very good. I didn't get a high quality of people to develop it. I tried offshore, that didn't work out. So the best way to do that was to design it with me and a couple of other architects, and instead of giving the whole thing to a team, I broke it into small pieces, and we used an agile framework where every piece was going to get delivered at least in 2 or 3 weeks. So the overall product development that we did later on got leveraged into this library. We started to build point solutions, and when these point solutions were blended, we could easily build the product.
Anyone else?
So you said there's there's no licensing.
Yeah.
So people are free to use as many copies as they want. Is that the idea?
Let's say you build one workflow application with us.
Yeah.
So that workflow application is something that you can change. Let's say you had 3 tabs on there or 5 tabs on there, and you want to add some functionality to it as a 6th tab. You can change the code. So that's free. Whatever you paid us to develop, once you paid us, we don't charge you any ongoing license fee unless you want us to support. Yep.
What are some of the reasons you're hearing that they're not jumping on your bandwagon?
I don't know whether they're not, it's like there's a delay in that. We just started about 2 months ago. So it will take some time. We're just going through our initial phases.
All right, we'll go around for Rajesh. All right, so let's go make some walking around down here. Anyone has any community announcements? Please come down front. Just a quick, whether you're potentially hiring, you have another meetup like this that you want to plug. If you won't mind, lining up down here, then we'll get on video, and this will take 5-10 minutes, and then we'll get on to our next presenter. Go ahead, kick us off.
Russell Schindler from Traverse City. I started a group just like A2NewTech up in Traverse City. We call it TC_NewTech. And if you guys have an idea, or if anybody wants to come up to Traverse City, it's beautiful. Maybe not this time of year, but we'd love to have you there. So there's been 2 people out of this meeting that have presented in Traverse City, and I think they've gotten a good response. So, Russell Schindler, TC_NewTech.org.
Hi, I'm Doug Song, CEO of Duo Security. If anyone's looking, we're hiring at Duo, duosecurity.com. But I want to talk about 4 events that are actually going on, just a flag for the audience. One is actually in this room on Friday at noon. Anybody know who Bruce Schneier is? Famous security guy. At any rate, he's sort of like the only rock star there is in computer security. But he'll be presenting here in this room on cybersecurity policy post the Sony breach. That same evening, we're hosting a Duo Tech Talk, not with Bruce, but with another friend coming in from South Africa. So if you look for Duo Tech Talks on meetup.com, you'll see Haroon Mir is coming to give a talk on sort of the state of the cybersecurity industry. What else is going on? Homecoming, right. So next Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve, the biggest bar night in America, apparently, the day before Thanksgiving. We're hosting a party for all the out-of-town folks that are coming to visit Mich again. So if you have friends or family that have left working in the tech industry that are coming back to visit family here, we're throwing a party. About 13 of the biggest and fastest-growing tech companies here in Ann Arbor are pooling their resources. We got all of Babo Market, and we've got this wine, cheese, hors d'oeuvre kind of thing. But happy hour, 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And if you look on...
I think it's on Eventbrite, maybe?
Yeah, if you look at A2 Tech Homecoming, I'll post the details to the site.
Doug, do you want to say something about DNewTech's pitch competition?
I'd love to, but I don't know what to say.
Okay.
DNewTech is apparently having a pitch competition.
Yeah,
with money.
Money and food and drink.
Money and food and drink, and it's going to be awesome, right?
DNewTech, yeah.
DNewTech.org, it's the Detroit version of A2NewTech.
Hey guys, just 2 quick announcements. One, I run a group in Ann Arbor called Coffee House Coders that teaches you how to code. So if you are interested in some of the things that are built here and kind of want to learn how to build your own startup, come on by. We'll be at Espresso Royale tomorrow. It's also a meetup like everything else, Ann Arbor Coffee House Coders. And then second, I also do the A2 drink ups, and we haven't had one in a while, but Christmas is coming up, and normally I do it 2 weeks after the normal A2NewTech, so I figure it's as good as time to ever to network and drink. So you'll see very quickly on the A2NewTech page, probably a day or so from now, we'll have the schedule up for the next A2 drink up, so that way you guys can be involved. So look forward to that.
Hi. I'm Dan. I'm with a company down in Toledo called Petrichor. We're building a platform as a service, a container-based platform as a service that makes deploying applications a cinch. We're in late-stage development. We're incorporated. We're funded. And we have an options pool. And we want to hire front-end and back-end developers like right now because we're super ready to gear up for some major development and deployment. So you can talk to myself or you can talk to my two coworkers there. We're in the trademark blue plaid, so come look for us. Thanks. And you can learn more about us at petrichor.io. Thanks.
First off, I'd like to thank the NewTech Group for giving us this opportunity to have a few words with you here tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Vincent Barrett, and I'm with Slingshot Cloud Services.
I'm Douglas Shore. I'm also Slingshot.
Matthew Rack, also Slingshot.
We launched last Thursday, and we're very excited. We were at the 248 meetup group where we launched. We provide private hybrid cloud solutions right here in Michigan, in Royal Oak, and we're working to develop that out through the state of Michigan. We provide servers, storage, and service in a multi-tenant environment. So we're competing. The Slingshot came from the competition. We know we're going up against some big cloud providers, but we're a private cloud as well as a hybrid cloud. We have a multi-tenant environment with Dell's latest technology at an internet price, lower than the internet price. So that's our business plan right now, is to work and share that cost basis that we have that allows us to be more competitive than anyone else in the market right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any last minute thoughts? Go ahead.
My name is Tina Watson. I work at GE. And I'm to create feelers. My friend David Bloom called this program and I'll tell you about Rent a Co-founder. GE announced this program for employees where it's being done by GE Ventures. And I'll read you just a summary statement. It says, submit an idea you believe will solve a customer or market need today for a chance to win up to $350,000 in seed funding and a year paid leave to help you launch your company. Well, I don't have an idea, but if I met somebody that did, I might look at a partnership.
Thanks. I'll make one plug. So my day job, I work running product and marketing in a company called Nutshell in town, and we, the co-founder and CTO there recently started up Ann Arbor PHP. It's a meetup group in town for specifically engineers doing a lot of work in PHP. And I think their first meetup is December 1st. It's a Tuesday. And obligatory, yes, for hiring plug as well. If you're interested, talk to me or check out that new group. I think if there's no other community announcements, we'll jump back into our last two pitches of the evening. These two gentlemen down here, Michael and Ben, are in from Detroit, a company called PishPosh that is in education/maker area. So, welcome, guys.
Let's see.
So, by hands, how many people have seen one of these two devices? Almost everybody. How many people have bought one of these two devices? More than, probably about 15. Of those 15, how many took them out of the box? Okay, all right, we're hanging on to people. How many did something with them that they dreamed of? We got 4 now. So yeah, we've got a little bit of a problem with the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino. When you find out that it's only like $35 to buy this little microcomputer, you buy it and then it comes and then it sits in a drawer.
So we are PishPosh.tv. We're located downtown Detroit. And these two words right here are the two most boring things in all of programming. We've taught over 200 people, how to get started in programming, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Ruby. And us as instructors are always like super excited when we get to the point where the students have been there for a little bit and we're like, all right, go to the console and check and see that you have finally, done something with your program. It's talking to you. And we say, click, and then there's a pause, and then the response is usually like, okay. Or even more like, meh. It's not very exciting. But when you get that type of reaction, as opposed to getting started with physical computing, where it's more of like an, oh shit, this is cool, I've made a motor run, I've, read information back from a sensor for light, I've, worked with some sort of thing to affect the actual world that we're operating in. So that's what we're doing in Detroit. So we are doing workshops that are sort of like a cooking class. You come in to our beautiful office, you sit down, you have a fancy box in front of you that has all of the components that you're going to need for that class. And when you're done, you take everything with you, depending on whatever you've made. So our first class coming up is actually it's our second running of it, is Introduction to Physical Computing via Raspberry Pi.
December 12th. From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
On a Saturday.
And we'll buy you lunch.
You get lunch too. And so students that come in, they're going to get a Raspberry Pi. We're working with the AstroPi or Sense Hat. They will get their first introduction to breadboarding, working with circuits and power. Then they will use the Sense Hat to read information back. So working with temperature, using a gyroscope, using the accelerometer. How to actually interact with those things. And then we give them a preview of other things they can do. We have a few motors in the box that they can work with. So that's the Raspberry Pi class, and I feel like that gives people a nice on-ramp to other things they want to work on. We're also doing a 3D printing class. One of the big things that people get into when they say, oh, I want to do 3D printing, is they have no idea what you can actually reasonably make. So we're doing a class where you get hands-on 6 hours with a 3D printer.
On December 19th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So we'll actually go over like, okay, hey, what do you actually want to make? Is it possible? What price range are you looking at? Do you need to go with filament? Are you going to go with like a SLA printer? What's the cleanup process? We also, get a lot of people who are interested in this because they're working in companies where they need to consult with other companies that are looking to do this. The other thing about PishPosh is that we hope to become a discovery channel that doesn't suck. So actually what we have downtown is the 3,000 square foot video studio, where we are making videos on these projects as well. So you can come and take a class in person with us, and then we're making a lot of different content as well.
And one more thing. So these are kind of adult-oriented classes that we're offering right now. Although, a young person could fit in just fine with the class. But we're also talking with some nonprofits and schools trying to adjust the program and get a little bit of funding so that we can do it for, middle schoolers and get them interested in engineering from the time that they're wee little bitty tykes.
For sure. What does they say? I don't know. We'd love any questions. You can come talk to us. The Raspberry Pi class is $120, and you walk away with a Raspberry Pi, a breadboard, a Sense Hat, miscellaneous collection of wires. We're looking to do bigger classes as well. For instance, like building a 3D printed Game Boy or making your own first-person video drone, that sort of thing as well.
Questions?
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We're in the Claridge House, right downtown, about 2 blocks from Comerica Park on Washington Boulevard.
Oh, okay, Washington.
Yeah, Washington and Clifford.
Will we get overalls like you're wearing?
Sadly, no, but I encourage anybody who has overalls to wear them when they come.
So it's 3,000 square foot studio for rent?
Yeah, actually a big portion of it could be. But yeah, we actually are really interested in making original content as well. That's why earlier I mentioned the podcast that I made, because basically Mike told me, so we're supposed to be a video production company that also does these workshops on the things that we're working on. And we kept doing commercial work for other people, like, covering conferences and doing stuff that wasn't what we were really wanting to do, not that we're against it. So he told me to make a show. So I made a show, and it was called Slash Detroit. It originally was a 5-minute stand-up monologue show, and lots of graphics, lots of editing, lots of sound effects and stuff. And eventually we switched it over to a partnership with a lot of journalists in Detroit to talk, and we also have politicians on the show, and made it a roundtable show because the 5-minute one, it was so hard to make that it just took up too much time, and for what it was that wasn't educational, but we kind of got our chops underneath us, and now we're ready to make some of these other shows, about 3D printing or about these different projects.
YouTube.
Yep.
Yep.
It's
We've got
PishPosh
one.
TV.
Everything we do is PishPosh. Yep. Oh. Anyone?
Yep.
I volunteer at the local high school. I teach Raspberry Pi development and stuff.
Awesome.
So I guess I have a two-part question. One, how many classes like this have you done? And two, what age group seems to be the most engaged with learning?
So we've run 2 tests of this class with friends, family, and some local journalists in Detroit. And then we've taught high school students for Osborne and a few other Detroit high schools general programming, so HTML, CSS. And these are our first ones getting started doing these. And we're going to be teaching at College for Creative Studies in January for Internet of Things class for their master's students.
Are you guys focused mostly on doing stuff in Detroit, or there's a here in this area? There's a bunch of opportunity probably with the local schools, Santa Barbara area public schools.
If y'all got money, I got a car.
I mean, we're looking to work with everyone. That's one of the goals of what we most want to do is make as much free video content as possible to teach these things. And being able to work with people hands-on in workshops is a good way, one, to monetize and pay for those videos to make free, and then also to really, just share what we're doing in a faster process than, a 6-month process of making these shows. So we're excited and looking to work with anybody in the area. Yeah.
How hard is it to take the physical computing class and take it outside of your location and put it in somebody else's, like for some of these educational, take it into a high school?
So that's what we've been working on, actually, is an issue with the CCS course that we're working on, is that they didn't have an actual space. So we've been helping them plan out basically a makerspace for College for Creative Studies. We could pack up and travel to do a class at a high school or something like that, especially depending on what we're doing. So like the introduction to Raspberry Pi for sure. If we do, making a first-person drone sort of thing, we might want to have a lot more of the tools that we have in the space available instead of traveling with it. Yeah.
My question is a two-part question. One, do you see yourselves partnering up with companies that are doing sort of large-scale 3D printing and prototyping and for sponsorship or partnerships or something like that?
We've looked at hopefully getting people we have maybe a connection with Autodesk to say, hey, maybe we can work with some of your printers for, using your resources to teach what's going on. Anybody who's interested in this field, I mean, it's some of the stuff is things that people want to get access to and just haven't been able to, and we're hoping to make that possible.
The short answer is yes.
The second part is, how much money do you guys want to come down to our Coder Dojo and do a demonstration? We're down in Toledo, actually Rossford, and we'd love to have you.
You want to go get pizza with us after this at the pizza place?
One last thing. Somebody pick a number between 1 and 10.
3.
Pick a bigger number. 3 won't impress you. No. Okay, so let's pick 10. We'll make I don't know what a good coupon code would be, but we'll make a coupon code for 10% off. Unfortunately, the price of some of the materials makes it so that we can't really offer super generous coupon codes, but what would be a good coupon code for this group?
A name.
A2NewTech. Okay, so within the next few minutes, the A2NewTech coupon code will be live.
And if you also have a Raspberry Pi, you can deduct it from your cost to come to the class.
And if you want a picture of Mike.
Awesome, guys. All right, so we're down to the last presentation tonight, and Alex just connected with him yesterday, and he was added on. We had one person had to drop off for this month's presentation, so
hasn't even been 24 hours.
drove in from Chicago and he's going to tell us all about his new device. So we need another way to brew coffee, and I'm really excited to learn about it. But I think we're going to start off with a video, so it might take just a moment.
I'll do the video second.
Okay.
If that's
That's totally okay.
Awesome. Well, first thing I'm going to do is explain to you what this is, because it's probably things might be a little baffling if I don't. These are old prototypes. This actually started as my graduate thesis project about 5 years ago. I'll explain this a little bit more later, but the current prototype is this one. You see it up here. If it's a little bit small, to see the real thing, you can refer to this as I go through it. When people see this at first, a lot of times they think it's a French press. So it's actually where the name came from a little bit, is be like, I have to keep saying, it's not French press, it's not French press. And so you're like, well, what is it? I'm like, okay, fine, it's not French press, it's American press. It's different. It looks a little bit similar, but it's different. So there's been quite a few things that come out that look like French presses, that they are French presses. Essentially, they're an evolution. So they're a refinement on the French press. It really hasn't been anything that looks like a coffee press that takes that regular form that isn't ultimately just a French press or a refined French press. So the way this works and what makes it different is you see it at the bottom is the pod. I thought at first it would be obvious to everyone this isn't a French press because there's this big thing in the bottom. But it's apparently like you can't take for granted what people won't find obvious. So what the point of that is the problem that people have with French press a lot of times is the cleaning. It has a lot of advantages to it. It's small, it's portable, you can throw it in a suitcase, you can take it with you can take it camping, it's really simple. Just add hot water and coffee, you don't need power. It's really great until you get to the cleanup. People don't really like to clean up too much. I don't really like cleaning up the French press. So first thought was like, hey, I'll take this pod and I'll use that to contain the grounds. And it seemed like a simple way to make it easier to clean. But as soon as I did that, I completely changed what it was. It really wasn't a French press anymore. It actually, if you started thinking about it, it was kind of like an espresso maker, except instead of moving the water through the coffee, you're moving the coffee through the water. And you're doing it by hand, so of course it's at a lower pressure. But what you get is winds up being a closer cousin to espresso than actually French press. So again, this is the pod, and the way you'd use it is you detach the pod, fill it with coffee. You don't actually tamp it like you would with a commercial espresso machine, because again, you're not using as much pressure. And the way the pod's designed, there's some headroom to it, and what that does is it allows your coffee to bloom. So that's where the coffee's absorbing water at first, and it's starting to off gas. You'll see that if you go to a cafe and you see them doing pour over, you can actually see the coffee almost kind of start to fizz a little bit, and it expands. So the not tamping it and having headroom in the pod allows the blooming of the coffee and pre-infusion. What you'll do is attach the pod, fill the carafe with water, and then mount it up. There's actually a magnet in between the pod and the lid top that keeps them together initially. And what you can do is, it started out as a 12-ounce design, and like a little hack came along the way you overfill it with water a little bit, so that will immediately force water into the pod just by mounting the coffee. So before you even take your hand off it and start pressing, you already have pre-infusion taking place. And then from there is where the magic happens. That's where I'm going to refer to the video. Because it really, there's a lot of advantages on the practical side, but I think the biggest thing is the visual experience. Reset.
We'll check on the audio as you're playing it. So let's see if we hear it. Yeah, might have to plug in. Do you have a separate jack for that?
Yeah, front jack.
Yeah, cool. Go ahead, try playing it.
Good thing you're going to get to see a movie.
This is the American press. Born in Chicago and raised in Detroit, it's taken nearly 5 years and every penny friends and family would lend to create it. Originally, I was inspired by solving the problem of coffee presses that were messy and frustrating to clean, and pod-based brewers that were mess-free but provided no connection with the brewing experience and generated thousands of tons of landfill waste. Along the way, I discovered the visual beauty of crafting hand-pressed coffee within an American press. Watching water transform into coffee as you press is really unlike anything you've seen or experienced before. It's a hands-on experience that engages sight and touch in anticipation of the smell and taste of fresh brewed coffee. The coffee itself is clean and complex, with aromas and flavors preserved by forcing water through an enclosed, reusable pod and an ultra-fine metal filter. Setup is quick and easy, and because the American Press brews as you press, there's no waiting. Just press and pour. And when you're done, true to solving the original problem that inspired us, our patented reusable pod technology keeps mess contained and waste out of landfills. So the American Press is easy to clean and eco-friendly too. It also offers the hands-on control connoisseurs love. The American Press quite literally puts brewing control in your hands. You control the speed, pressure, and timing of extraction the way you want. And now, after working for years to create a machine that will make brewing high-quality coffee as enjoyable as drinking it, there's just one step left. We need to raise most of the money required for tooling and our first production run, and we genuinely need your help. So please back our campaign now and join us as we work to finish turning the idea of the American Press into a reality together.
That brings us to where we're at now. It's actually crowdfunding right now. It launched just a week ago and raised about $45,000 in the first week. So it's doing really, really well. Thank you. And if you're really observant, you notice a few things in that video. One, there's not a lot of products out there, especially in the coffee space, but they would dare show the video twice. Stop it, Vimeo. So you're actually not going to see really any products out there that are going to show you the cleaning at all. The cleaning of this isn't completely mess-free, but it's about as close as you could get without using a disposable pod. So if you want completely mess-free, you can use a Keurig. It's maybe a matter of opinion. I think it's terrible coffee. You don't really have a lot of control over it. I don't like the idea, even with a dripper, you just push a button and wait for something to happen. And there's a lot of landfill waste involved. So short of that, kind of like a disposable solution, it's about as mess-free as it gets. You'll also notice, if you're really observant, that I was wearing the same shirt that I'm wearing right now. I like to say this because I put absolutely everything into the business, so much so that like I can't even afford new shirts. But it's actually because I dislike shopping for clothes just as much as I dislike cleaning out a French press. So where we're at right now, and I'll show you the Indiegogo campaign because I probably made a little bit of money while I was driving here.
All right, tease us then.
Yeah. Okay, this is the wrong category.
Who's got some questions for Alex while he's pulling this up?
We're top of the design category too, organically, on the homepage frequently too. So up to 46,647 now. You have on the same page too, you'll see the whole story here, as well as there's another video. I don't have time to show it to you, but there's a whole video that goes into how it works. It should be really interesting. We'll go ahead with questions.
Quick one on, so I know there's something called AeroPress.
Yeah, that's a really common question. Is the closest thing that's out there that exists, and I'll actually tell you, I got to show this personally to the founder of Crate and Barrel and his wife. Also got to show it to the lead buyer for Bed Bath & Beyond, who buys like $2 billion a year worth of this stuff. Their chief concern is it's almost too new. They're like, well, we don't really know how to place it. We don't know what to expect from it. So you actually get hurt by being completely new. So the AeroPress is actually a nice thing for me. It's something that I can reference that says there's something out there that exists that brews coffee like this way that people accept and enjoy. People love the AeroPress, and one of the things that they love about it is the control you have over the coffee. This offers you that same control. There's some differences. So with the AeroPress, you're actually using air pressure to force the water through the coffee. You also have a lot of usability issues. So like when you first fill it, your coffee will start leaking out. There's an inversion method of the AeroPress. So you actually like tip it upside down, not as intended. Fill it up that allows the coffee to bloom and use air pressure to press it through. But you're stacking a cylinder and a piston on top of a mug and then trying to like balance this whole contraption on a table. And if anybody's done it, it's going to happen at least once. The whole thing is going to go flying off the table. So where you have with this is that it's using water pressure. So for one thing, you don't have to worry about crushing the coffee, which is something you actually do with a French press or an AeroPress. If you actually squeeze the coffee between two mechanically, you can actually over-extract bad flavors from it. This, because it's enclosed in the pod, you just get the water pressure acting on it. And again, you're using hydraulic pressure, and it's self-contained. So you just press and pour with this. You're not putting it over a cup and stacking it together. So it's a cousin to AeroPress, but you could think of it as a similar, but again, it's going to be a different. The cup's not going to be exactly the same, and you have a completely different user experience. Not really a lot of this was about not just making something that it's true. It brews faster. It brews about as fast as an AeroPress. brews a lot faster than a French press. Everybody who's taste tested it, and this includes master roasters and hardcore coffee geeks right here in town. I had the folks at Hyperion and the new Cultivate coffee shop taste test it. Agree it's way better than French press, and most people think French press is super gourmet. It is easier to clean. Usability is a lot higher than an AeroPress, but it really is about the experience. So like with the AeroPress and like a lot of things, you don't get to actually see that transformation happening. With the AeroPress, you are engaged, which is great. But with this, it's the combination actually being engaged with the process. So hopefully actually enjoying brewing as much as drinking the coffee and not having the brewing just be a chore you have to get through. So kind of an elaborate answer to your question, but it's an astute observation that AeroPress is about the closest thing that exists out there. This guy's had his hand up forever.
So you've had some great success with Indiegogo, and it's partially, of course, because you have amazing products available. But there's a lot of amazing products that launch on Indiegogo and don't succeed.
Yeah.
Do you contribute anything like that you thought?
Starting way ahead of time. So most people that go to Indiegogo are just like, I got this really cool idea, and I'm going to put together a campaign, and I'm going to launch it. And like, oh crap, nobody's buying anything. You really would advise starting way ahead of time. So try to build a Facebook following way ahead of time. Try to start like a year in advance. Try building up an email list. If you start trying to build an audience just by going to Indiegogo or Kickstarter, it's going to be most probably really bad news unless you're like this 1 in a million viral success story.
I love coffee. I'm really curious what the difference in taste was between the French press and yours.
Well, the French press, usually if you go to like the coffee geeks, I'm kind of don't tell anyone, I'm kind of like a coffee Philistine. Like if it's hot and brown, I'll drink it down. But the people who really know, the issue with the French press a lot of times is that they describe it as muddy. So you have a lot of them, they have what's essentially like if you cut a circle out of a window, like a screen from a window. So there's a lot of gaps for grounds to get around. That's why I use a coarser ground. And then because you're using a coarser ground, you have to let it sit for a long time. And a lot of times the amount of time that goes into extraction will increase how bitter the coffee is. So really what you want is a relatively short extraction. And you don't want to let a lot of coffee grounds get around. That's what this does by adding a little pressure to it. You can cut the extraction time in half, which keeps your coffee from tasting bitter, or what a lot of like regular coffee drinkers would describe as burnt. And then you also, because it has a 150 micron seal filter. So it's super small. It lets the oils through, but doesn't let a lot of the grit through. So it's another thing you would get with French press is like the last couple of ounces won't really be drinkable. It'll be super muddy. And this is something that's clean from the first sip to the last. It's smoother than French press, but it has the same like robustness that you get from the French press by having the oils in there.
I wanted to ask about the consumer benefit.
Yeah.
You have a metal screen, it's a lower micron, but
yeah.
Isn't there any rinsing of that screen necessary?
Yeah, so that's really how the cleaning would go. It would be a lot like if you saw your barista cleaning out their espresso machines. You're going to attach the pod, shake the grounds out, rinse it off. You're good to go. Once a week you use some like Tefisa or something like that to get the oils off, and that's about all you have to do.
So we're going to do a couple more questions if people want to hang around. We're just about wrapped up, and then we're going to go down to Pizza House 7 block. Yeah, let's take one or two more, because I think it's a really cool project.
Cool.
Do you think there's any potential to use a similar process for brewing tea?
Yeah, it works great for tea as well. It's especially good for green tea. A lot of times green tea tastes bad when you make it at home because you, like French press, have over-extracted it. Some teas you do want to let them sit and simmer, but this is ideal for green tea. You'll get restaurant quality green tea out of it. And again, you're completely in control of it too, so you certainly could put any loose leaf tea in this. You could pre-infuse it for a longer time and then press it, and it's just as easy to clean. So it works great for loose leaf tea.
So I was wondering, why did you decide to grow in Michigan, and why Detroit instead of
Okay.
Chicago?
Well, I actually, when this started, I was in grad school for design, and my first job out of school was for Detroit for automotive. So I was I was working in the design studio at Visteon until recently, and worked as an innovation specialist for Hyundai after that. So I moved here and had lived here for the last 3.5 years for work, and I just basically quit my job a couple months ago to do this full time. So all my roots for the last 3 years are here. I think you had a question?
How much do you think this would retail for?
The retail on the high side, so I'm trying to be conservative because it's really important when you do something like this not to do your numbers wrong. But I think it's going to cost me about $22.50 to get it to me in a warehouse. And now if you want to leave room for a wholesaler distributor in between and then sell it at retail, your retail usually wants to be a 4x markup over the cost to get it to effective, because you have to sell it to a wholesaler for half price. Bed Bath & Beyond's going to want it for like about $45. So I'm going to make it for $22.50. I'm going to sell it to Bed Bath & Beyond for about $45. They're going to sell it to you for about $90. are $89.95, which is a lot less painful than 90. Now, if things go really well, $79.95 is probably within reach. If you go to Bed Bath & Beyond right now, you'll see stainless steel French presses, $120, and that's Bed Bath & Beyond. It's not Williams-Sonoma.
How do you see yourself delivering this experience? I mean, you talked about experience,
Yeah.
but do you see yourself just making products, or maybe having a service where you have, coffee shops?
Yeah, part of it, I mean, it's funny because I showed this to the designer in Chicago, and one of his first ideas was like, oh, could we have a cafe that just does American press? And that's certainly a possibility. I'd say it's a suite of things. So one of the things I've tried to do with this, if you look at the incentives on the campaign perks, a lot of them are things that are handmade in Detroit, so they're by artists. So there's the idea of like building that brand around the idea of celebrating coffee and community through artwork, and that kind of ties into the experience. Another thing, though, is controlling distribution a little bit. So Bed Bath & Beyond, when I talked to them, they just want, they're like, hey, can we get this for $20? Can we sell this for $20? And it's like, you've got a thermos, it's $30. This is a machine. So they just want to drive the price down. If you can control distribution, like, for example, I talked to the folks at Aventura here. If I can get these into a nice restaurant like that, and they say, like, well, you've just finished your meal, would you like French press, or would you like to try American press? People are like, well, what is American press? And if they have it brought out to the table with them already filled with water, coffee, and they get to press it, and actually experience pressing not just the strain grounds out of already ground coffee, already brewed coffee, but actually to brew it there and see it in front of a whole table of people, then that's a chance for people without spending any money on it other than like what little bit the restaurant charges them for the coffee to actually experience it, as opposed to it sitting on a store shelf at like Walmart or something.
Well, we can hang around here for a few more minutes if anyone wants to come down and check.
Yeah, I'll answer questions one-on-one, anything.
Thank you again. We'll be making our way over to Pizza House if anyone wants to go out for beer, pizza afterward. There's a contingent there in the big room downstairs. So thanks for coming out tonight. And then we'll be here next month.
Cool. One final announcement too. I have, if anybody's interested in it, wants information, I have handbills. These were designed in Eastern Market, Detroit, by the Signal Return Studio there. So another like little community-oriented thing. It's got the address on them. You can just grab one.
Hey, nice to meet you, man. Doug.
Oh, Doug.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
yeah,
Do you know Royce Cheney?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was talking to him. He's like, oh, was Doug the one that invited you? And I'm like, I guess you know everyone, Royce.
That's small town. That's awesome, dude. This is really excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Only took 5 years.
So the cholesterol level, I know, is elevated when you have the oil.
Yeah, I mean, it's one research study. So the way this will work in production, this is just a prototype. So the actual filter is stuck in there as a prototype.